Wilson, hello. How's it going? This will be, yeah, all of our sessions are communal. CMT will be here in a few minutes, but while we're waiting, I'm so curious what you're looking for next in your career. You are on mute right now. No problem. Okay.
Hello.
Alan, good to have you. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's great to be here. How are you?
Doing well. I just edited your name to put CMT after it. So that's, but we'll.
Perfect, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll give it a few minutes for people to join. While we're waiting, I always like to check in and hear how everyone's doing. Ariel, are you able to say hi for a second? Looks like she's connecting to audio. Okay. Well, really excited to be here with everyone and so excited, Ellen, to have you with us today.
Likewise, thank you. It's a pleasure to be a part of this.
Yeah, well, you guys are a huge part of our mission and our work. So yeah, in fact, I realized today that I know you guys have been hiring from our community. You actually added one of the biggest things that we celebrate is, of course, people advancing their careers in tech, getting new jobs, and also those major pivots into tech. And when you hired Claire Winters from our community, you added a whole new industry to our set of industries that had pivoted. So she was the first one that came specifically from food and safety and pivoted into a technical role. So that was cool to see.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, I didn't even know that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, well, you know, that's kind of the fun part about what we do as a community is you get to hire people from any industry. And sometimes you don't even quite realize it because they're just such a good fit for what you guys are doing at CMT. But yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
We absolutely love. Okay. And I have a feeling since we're in the workday, we're going to have everybody joining right on the hour. Good to see everyone who is showing up. Abby, Daphne, Kevin, we're probably going to have too many people for me to call out names, but I'm excited for you all to be here. And as we're giving it a moment to kick off, go ahead and drop in the chat. Let us know what you've been doing and what you're looking for next in your career so we can all get to know each other. And this is a communal session, so feel free to join with camera on as well so we can see your faces. We'll all get a chance to ask questions at some point too. But yeah, let's keep the chat party alive. So I'll just put in, I'm Melinda, roadmap, pivoted, economic. Okay, kicked off the chat party. Hi everyone, welcome. We're so excited to have CMT with us. Alan is here. I know it's going to take a moment for everybody to join and we're still not quite on the hour yet. This is really communal. So we love seeing your face, love having you join with us live. And while we're waiting, feel free to drop in the chat a little bit about what you've been doing and what you're looking for next in your career. We get to know each other. And we'll take time for one share. Yeah, Daphne, what have you been up to in your career? What are you looking for next? You can say past too. It's not the right time.
I have another meeting in the office, but if you hear someone talking, that's why. But yeah, I've been in tech since 2016, and I've been doing technical writing for about 2 years now. So yeah, ending a contract with Microsoft, and now I'm just actively looking for the next opportunity. So
Amazing. Well, we're excited to have you here with us today, and we're not going to have time for any more shares, of course, because we have so many amazing people. So for everyone else, please join with camera and Mike and let us know in the chat what you've been doing, what you're looking for next, and we'll be kicking off in just a couple minutes. We'll give it another moment for people to arrive. I'm so excited to have Alan and Ruby from CMT with us today. Ruby, I'm going to add CMT to your name there.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. We're so happy to be here.
Okay, yeah, so we'll give it one more minute before we really kick off. I'll just start by introducing myself. So hi, everyone. I'm Melinda. I'm the founder here at Roadmap. And my goal in life is to get all of us into the jobs that we love the most, where we feel most passionate and connected. And a few months ago, I had the pleasure of meeting Ruby and Alan at CMT, and I've just been kind of blown away. In fact, Ruby, I was just telling Alan, if our mission is to get people ahead in tech and break into tech, you guys actually opened up a whole new, you added a new industry to our list of astounding pivots from one industry to the next. So when you hired Claire Winters, she was the first one that went from food and beverage safety. So I just want to share that.
Yeah, and she's just doing such amazing work for us now in the continuous improvement space. So it's just, yeah, it's been very exciting so far.
That's so glad to hear that. And as people are joining, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen, because my favorite thing in the world really is celebrating those big career advancements. And I love for all of us to just see how it actually looks when someone breaks into tech. And it looks like this. You've been in an industry, maybe it's food and safety, and people in tech don't know you, and then suddenly Ruby and Alan come along, and now you're a senior continuous improvement lead at the leading telematics tech company. And we just get so excited about that. And Claire was so excited, she even did a big post about her new job there. So yeah, we're excited to have you too. And okay, so people are still probably arriving, but we're going to go ahead and kick it off. Alan, Ruby, we're going to have you introduce yourselves, and then I have some questions to kick off the conversation. So Alan, so excited to have you here, and would love to learn a little bit more about you.
Absolutely, Melinda. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having us. I'm a senior technical recruiter at CMT, and I've worked with TrueMotion in the past. So did Ruby. We've known the market and the industry for quite a while, and TrueMotion was acquired by CMT, and I came back as a technical recruiter for the same team, and it's honestly been a pleasure. It's such a rewarding job to find talented individuals and match them with our company. But overall, I really enjoy the matching talent with companies in general, and having to do it for a company with such a great mission, like CMT, saving lives, making roads safer, has been such a reward overall.
Yeah, that's definitely something to celebrate. We're on the same page. One of the reasons we love working with you both so much. And Ruby, yeah, I would love for you to take a moment to introduce yourself, and we'll dive into some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Ruby White. I'm the senior recruiting operations lead here at CMT. I started out as a recruiting coordinator, and then just got a little bit more behind the scenes in terms of helping out with our operations, helping with our reporting, and it's just been wonderful to get to dive a little bit more into D&I work, and our partnership with Roadmap has really helped us push the needle there as well. So it's been a great time working with Roadmap and all of you.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited to hear that. And everyone in this room, you're a part of it, part of the mission for economic empowerment and getting our careers ahead. If you can join with camera and mic, we would love to see your faces, and we'll have some time for some shares and questions as we go through things. We're very casual. Our goal is just kind of bring everybody together, keep it inclusive. So that said, if you can't join with camera, no problem at all. So we're just going to dive into some fun questions so we can learn more about your work at CMT. Uh, First of all, when we first met you, just so everyone knows, CMT stands for Cambridge Mobile Telematics. Alan, I had not heard of telematics until I met you, and I'm very curious for me and all of us to learn, what does that even mean?
Well, Melinda, it's funny you say that. I had not heard of telematics prior to working with TrueMotion and CMT in the past, because it's such a niche market and niche industry. So it's really our bread and butters, telematics. It's a way like for us to use technology, both hardware and software, to track driving behavior for a variety of use cases. Like we track your driving on the road, basically. And we built all of our products with the goal of reducing risky driving and helping people after a crash, like car crash, most importantly. And some of you might have seen like the auto insurance commercials, like the campaigns where they say, pay for what you use or pay for what you need. We're basically the technology that makes it possible, like behind the scenes, to track how much you drive or how well you drive in order to save money on your insurance premiums. And most importantly, we're able to use our technology to help people after a car crash, get them emergency services, get them to the hospital if they need it, as well as help them with the claims process. We make that claims process much smoother than the original ways and the old ways.
I have never heard of claims. No one has ever said, I love the claims process. So thank you for that.
It's a lot easier, it makes it easier, it makes it smoother because the crash is recorded, even if it's a small bender or fender, like this small, like nothing major, it records it, and you could use that basically to process your claims with the insurance, which it's a lot better and easier than having to call the insurance like the old days.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the best of both worlds for all of us. I mean, all of us here are usually looking to join mission-driven companies that are making an impact and also making those processes that we don't like much easier. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how you told us a little bit about how you got into your recruitment role at CMT. Can you tell us a little bit more about that journey and what specifically attracted you to this industry and this company?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually a close friend of mine from college. He was in recruiting, and I was like, I didn't really know what to do after my degree, HR management. And he told me about it and his experience, and I was sold, was able to learn a lot from him and from the company he worked with at the time. And eventually I was referred to CMT by a close friend and previous colleague. And from the very first phone call I had with our manager, Larry, I fell in love with the company, the culture, like the mission of the company, like how we're able to save lives on the road. And like the rest is history, really. Like from the first day at CMT, the team has been really amazing, providing everything that a recruiter such as myself would need to reach their potential. And I truly enjoy like the working with the hiring managers and the sourcing, like finding these talented individuals and helping them throughout the interview process, like talking to them at first, telling them about CMT, learning about their backgrounds, their skill sets, what their career goals are, and matching that talent with CMT and our company. Like I truly take pleasure in that. And that's like the best reward.
Yeah, I mean, we love hearing that, especially just the focus on our careers as candidates. And it is, we kind of started the conversation by pointing out that you guys actually took a member of our community from an entirely different industry into telematics and into tech. And then Ruby, I'm curious if you have anything more to say on that relationship with hiring managers and how that's possible, because it's not very common in the world right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So in terms of, our relationship with hiring managers, it's definitely a two-way street for us. right? Of course, we're helping them to, to fill the needs that they have on their team, of course. But then, beyond that, like they really do rely on us and lean on us to find the most, qualified candidates for the team. But beyond that, it's not, obviously being qualified for the job is incredibly important. But also if we can, we can help to get folks from more diverse backgrounds in with the company as well. Like that is huge for us as well. And it's really a big focus for us currently. So yeah, really sort of a two-way street there with the hiring managers and with us as well. So it's been great. And I feel like Melinda, your team does an awesome job of really connecting not only with recruiters, not only with me, but with the hiring managers as well.
I mean, we love to hear that. And we love working with recruiters and people who are working with hiring managers who also help bridge that gap. What are your actual skills versus did you have the exact job title? And I know there are probably a lot of people in the room right now with questions. If you have questions as we're talking through some of the big questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and you'll also have a chance to introduce yourselves and ask some questions as we get towards the end. But yeah, that was definitely something that I wanted to highlight, because it's really hard. Sometimes recruiters see that a candidate has exactly what it takes, and then it's the rest of the hiring team, it's the hiring managers, and you guys are just fantastic about helping us build that relationship with the hiring managers. And a big part of it, of course, is just the work culture and what we're all looking for. And Alan, you offer both on-site in the office and remote work culture, is that right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
You can, work remotely or go to the office. And some people do both.
Ooh, I like that. And I know that everyone is talking about working remote as like the gold. I actually love working in person too. So I kind of want to hear about both sides of the equation. Why are people coming into the office even when there is some remote work available?
So like, as you know, Melinda, like working remotely, it has its perks. You could save some time on the commute, be in the comfort of your home. And I'm sure like a lot of us do enjoy it, but I do miss the part where you see your teammates every day. Like I miss not having Ruby right next to me right now in a conference room and having one screen that we're looking at. But obviously with COVID and everything changed, but that small talk, that let's go grab a coffee, it's a huge part of the culture, and we try to make up for it in the sense of like try to meet constantly, try to do some events as a team, as a company, for that culture. But the majority of our people in the Boston area do hybrid model. Like they do go into the office sometimes, and sometimes they work from home. And we do have a lot of people working remotely across the US. It really, like, every position is different. It's up to the hiring manager at the end of the day. Like every position requires different attention, whether it's remote or in office. But to tell you a little bit more about our culture, we're right in Kendall Square. We have a beautiful view of the Charles River right next to MIT. I have yet to go there, but I've heard Ruby say it's really amazing. And one day I'm gonna get there. But and Thursday is really big for us, for people to go into the office. We have catered lunches, and we have what we call Thursdays at the drive-in. Like we have movies, we have popcorn, we have our own popcorn machine, so it's fresh, it's really awesome. And we have drinks for anybody who would like to enjoy a drink, and we do have ping pong tournaments. So we try to get everybody like involved in things outside of work so they can bond and just have a little fun and enjoy something outside of just working.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, I mean, even just the title of your company, Cambridge Mobile Telematics, and it has telematics, and it's just so deeply technical, the work that you're doing, but at the same time, you also have the culture. Yeah, I see in the chat. Yeah, that's awesome. It is. I want to go play ping pong at the drive-in.
You're more than welcome. You should coordinate that with Ruby one of these Thursdays, and if you're gonna go, I'll try to make it too.
Yes,
Would be fun.
yeah. And Ruby, anything else from your perspective? I mean,
Yeah.
for all of us who are doing this like deeply technical work, and we all are in our own way, no matter like where our skills lie. having that extra outlets as well seems really valuable.
Yeah, no, it's really quite nice. And just in terms of, having the option to go into the office, like obviously, it's certainly very role dependent, right? Like there are certain roles, especially in our IT functions and things like that, where folks do need to be in the office on a very regular basis. But for everybody else, it's pretty much a hybrid working model, and you can kind of go into the office as you'd like. So it's honestly really nice to get to break up the workday and have the option to go in and just see some familiar faces, connect with folks in person. It's also a great networking opportunity as well to get to go in and put in some FaceTime with some of the department leaders. Like it's nice to get to have that option as well. But it's also nice that it is an option, right? And that it's not like you have to be there 5 days a week either. I'm really glad that we, again, like Alan said, there's a nice balance between getting the efficiency of work from home, but also getting to have that social interaction again in person. So yeah, it's a nice balance.
Well, and especially, I mean, you guys are solving some pretty interesting problems. Alan, can you tell us more about, you shed a little bit of light, but a little bit more information about the problems you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. To give you like an example of like the statistics in 2019, unfortunately, there were about 3,100 people that were killed in car crashes and about 424,000 that were injured in car crashes. And those are just like from distracted driving. And it's like distracted driving, especially now in this day and age with your mobile device next to you, you check a message, an email, you take a call, anything can get you distracted easily. So we've helped over 7 million of our users that we currently have with 80 different programs, and we are available in 18 different countries, different programs, of course, but our users overall have 39% reduction in phone distraction, 30% reduction in speeding, and 51% reduction in hard brakes, which all obviously cause accidents. And we're proud to be able to help drivers become more aware of their actual driving and where they can improve their driving, as well as their distraction using their phone while driving. The most important part of this, when an accident does happen, we are able to send emergency services to the accident site. And when there is like a very severe accident, every second counts, you need medical attention. And that's really where it comes in. So we're moving the needle closer to safer roads for all. And we also, Melinda, I don't know if, I'm sure we mentioned this before, but I would love to mention this to everybody else. We do have a B2C application that you guys can all download. It's called Open Roads. And Ruby, would you be able to put it in the chat for us so they can have it, please? Thank you. So it's all iOS and on Android. And it's basically like mostly focused on car detection, crash detection when you're in the car. And our technology is so amazing that it can detect whether you're a driver, passenger, in a car, on a bus. Don't ask me how, it's beyond me. I'm just a recruiter, but it's really amazing technology and it's mind-blowing. And I'll give you like a small example of one gentleman, an older gentleman that was driving in a remote area. He was alone on the road and drove off into a ditch and was severely injured. He had Open Road on his phone, and he gained consciousness basically when he was being loaded into the ambulance, and was able to get medical attention. And it's all because Open Road detected that crash and called for emergency services. And I believe it calls the person first. If they don't pick up, they send the emergency services right away. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I would just kind of, I mean, you just said so many things there. I mean, first of all, to convince anyone to leave the phone alone when they're driving, which, no one, we all know what we're supposed to do, but then there's what we will do, right? I know that this is a 40% reduction in phone usage and just distracted behavior is huge. And then, yeah, that ability to have in your pocket emergency services that are just going to drive out there and save your life is just absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah, and it's free for anybody that would love to download it. It's there to have it. Why not? It's an extra safety net.
I mean, we're definitely going to shout it out in our next newsletter so that everyone gets access to this. That sounds amazing. Yeah, and I know that I saw some questions going into the chat, so I wanted to double check if there was anything that I missed. Okay, so yeah, we'll go into some questions. We still have a few questions to ask, but we'll go into some of the questions here. And so, Abby, do you want to join with camera and mic to ask your question, Abby McLeland? And if you can't, that's okay. I can ask it for you, but I always want to give you the opportunity. And then, so Abby asked, what feedback do you get on candidates once they're placed and hired? And how does that inform ongoing recruiting? That's a good question, Abby.
So we do have a survey that goes out to candidates that go through the interview process, as well as the people that are hired. And it like basically tries to get their feedback on how the entire interview process went, how smooth it was. There are different like measuring sticks, and we try to keep that rate very high, which we do, and try to keep that the feedback and the candidates very happy with our process, whether they're accepted or not, whether like it's from the initial interview or the second or third to an offer letter. We really want to make that experience as pleasant and as memorable as possible. We want people to think CMT is a great place to interview, even if they don't end up taking a job or getting a job. And I don't know if Ruby, if there's any more details you'd like to add, but that's really what we try to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that, just to make this super specific for this group, the two roadmap candidates that we've hired so far have both been getting really incredible feedback from the team. So we've really only gotten some very positive feedback from both of those placements. But, that has really informed our hiring process, and the fact that like this is a great partnership for us to be investing in, right? So that's kind of that's kind of the biggest takeaway from this so far. And then also, if there are more negative feedback about candidates that we've placed, like we do have a really thorough onboarding process that we've implemented. So we have really regimented 30, 60, 90-day check-ins where, you know exactly what the deliverables are for each of those moments, and you have to hit certain things by those dates, and you'll go through everything with your manager. So really, it's a great way to sort of be walked through being a new employee. So that's also something that we really wanted to highlight. So that's another way for us to make sure that new employees are getting that positive feedback, and it's a way for us to also be really transparent and let people know exactly what we expect from them. So did that kind of help answer that question?
It did for me. And I can also say just from our side, everyone who's been through the interview process and hired, such amazing feedback. And then Francisco, are you able to join to ask your question live? I saw a question from Francisco. I know a lot of people are maybe chiming in from the workday, but yeah, what tech stack do you work with, or does the team work with? Yeah, I know.
We work with, it really depends. I don't know if the question was a little bit more specific, but like I give you a lot of like the back end, and we use Python, we use some JavaScript on the back end. For cloud, we use AWS. Mostly we don't use Azure. Front end, I think we use React, JavaScript. That's just a little bit like to give you like a general idea of like backend, front end, and cloud. For the backend, like the framework mostly is Django that we use. I don't know if that Francisco answers your question, just like a general like tech stack. For like data science, like SQL and TensorFlow, Keras as well. But if there's anything like more specific you're looking for, I would love to try to answer that, or look it up if I don't know the answer.
I love that. Yeah, and it's true. Sometimes in these sessions, there are some really incredible questions and we don't always know the answer. But yeah, that gave me a lot of insight. But yeah, Francisco, feel free to join with camera or, okay, yeah, I see in the chat.
Yep.
Um,
Saw the thumbs up.
yeah. And then this is a really interesting question, Sophia. And this is sort of like a pop question because I would have to, think through my interview practices if I could think of one. But what questions have you heard from candidates during the interview process that they asked you that were most interesting? And this is also one to think on, but if you have one off the top of your head, very curious to hear about it.
Yeah, it's believe it or not, Sophia, it's most of the questions are about the same. They want to know about the interview process, like what's the next step, how the feedback works and everything. Like basically like the next steps throughout the interview and the timeline. And the other thing they ask about the tech stack as well for the technical roles, like they want to know what we use in terms of technology. And they also ask about like the team like team dynamic, like how many people are on the team, how everything falls, like how the teams work cross-functionally. A lot of it is to do like with how they will be part of the company, how they'll be part of CMT and where they will fall into that big organization, like it's a big org chart basically. And that's what usually people ask about.
That's super helpful. Sophia, you're welcome to chime in if you can join with camera and mic to follow up.
Yeah, I guess I had a question. So you said those are some of like the common questions you get asked, but are there any questions you've been asked that are like especially interesting or questions that you haven't heard all the time that interest you and make you more interested in that interviewee?
I honestly can't say that I have. Maybe there's one time the candidate was like, what did you see in me that made you contact me for this role? That's the only one I can think of that was kind of like outside the box, caught me off guard, which was very impressive. I'm like, wow, okay, like, this is an interview both ways. And we did reach out to you. It was one of those candidates where we reached out to on LinkedIn, but that's the only one that I can think of that was outside the box.
I love that question, Sophia. One thing that I think too is I like to, and I don't know, when you're talking to recruiters and how much they know about the role, but I always like to give them my take on what I think the key metrics or responsibilities would be and ask that question like, oh, reading the job description, I feel like this role is really, looking at XYZ metrics. Any thoughts on that? And I don't know if either of you have heard questions like that, Alan or Ruby, but yeah, I really like this kind of angle of like, what can we ask to help us stand out?
Yes, that is something I've definitely heard. How is our performance measured? Sorry, I didn't mention that. There's like so many questions that popped up over all the interviews. I'm like, I can't keep up with everything, but that is something that did pop up. Melinda, the metrics, like how are we measured? How can we succeed? And to add to that, what's the promotions look like? Like, what's the timeline? Can we get promoted? And how well do you promote like employees, basically?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, fantastic questions, Sophia and everyone else. And if anyone, yeah, drop it in the chat or join us with camera and mic. And then kind of want to come back to the interview process as well, but also just a little bit more about your industry. You kind of shared a lot of stuff with us. And yeah, is there any other observations just about your industry in general that we hadn't gone over yet?
Yeah, Melinda, to give you a little bit of insight on like the financial part of things, the global vehicle telematics market size is expected to grow like so much over the next few years. Right now, we are about $72 billion industry. In maybe 2029, 2030, we're going to be close to $215 billion industry. We are the largest, most elite mobile telematics company worldwide. There are a lot of different telematics companies out there that use more hardware, like tags that you or dash cams that you could put in fleet trucks or cars. But in terms of like mobile telematics, tracking it from a mobile device, we are the #1 company in the world. And there are 1.4 billion vehicles in the world, and we've only scratched the surface with 7 million drivers.
Oh my
So
God.
we have so much more to do. That there's like huge opportunities out there, and we are ahead of the game in terms of market positioning, as well as there are many other verticals that our technology can be used in, as like the security vertical, like gig vertical, like the Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, like all of those industries as well. There are so many different verticals we could move into.
Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting to ask that question when we just saw that Figma got acquired for $20 billion. And yet you're sitting here telling all of us that you're operating in a $72 billion industry, #1 in the world in telematics. So that's pretty inspiring and makes me all the more excited that you've hired people from our community.
And to be fair, Melinda, it's mobile telematics that we're #1. Just like hardware telematics, there are other companies that I think are ahead of us, but with mobile technology, we are the #1.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you. I want to make sure that I get that right as I talk to more people about all of the open roles. Let's see, we got, this is a good question. And David, you're welcome to join with camera and mic if you're able to. Otherwise, I can go ahead.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking with us. I was just wondering, what do you look for in an entry-level software engineer candidate?
Generally speaking, David, we would want to look at like the school projects, you know, like internships, anything that can show that you were able to take on like a job, even if it's a short project, like 3 to 6 months, that you were able to show up, do your work. Obviously, we do check references, but that's really like what you would want to look at. And going back and forth, like the interviews tell us a lot about the person, if they're going to be a good culture fit, if they're able to like quickly be able to take on tasks, etc., like hit the ground running. But generally speaking, just your experience, even if it's a short 3 to 6 months, like the tech stack you've used. And we also want to know like what your career goals are, like why you want to join CMT, and how you can also be a good part of CMT. What are you going to bring to the table? Like that's something that's very important to us.
Actually, yeah, David, if we can put you on the spot, I am curious how you got into engineering.
I was doing academic research for the past 5 years on my PhD, and I enjoyed the research part. I didn't enjoy so much the value-added part. So I found something that had all the research components, but at the end of the day, you built a tool for someone that improved their lives or made it easier in some way. So I taught myself.
Okay, nice. What have you worked on lately?
I've been contributing to a lot of open source Code for America. I've been building a machine learning tool with a friend of mine to just track habits. And I built a full stack app in Python. I had to learn Python for that, and React Native. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I love that about engineering, that you really can just kind of go in and start working on projects and get experience. Actually, I know there are other engineers in the room who are probably looking for projects. How do you get involved in those open source communities to kind of start building your, well, showing validation of your skills?
I spoke to a bunch of engineers. I asked them what they were doing. I asked them what I could be doing. They pointed me to Code for America. There's an Hack for LA branch where you could just go. They have a great onboarding system. They teach you everything you need to know. And you just start ticking away at tickets and learning on the way.
Nice. You like it. Very good tips.
Impressive,
Thanks.
David. Self-taught Python, huh? That's impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
Sophia, are you able to join to ask your follow-up question?
Yeah. So I was gonna ask, what does a typical interview process look like, and which qualifications are junior software engineers lacking that prevent them from getting hired typically?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So the first part, the interview process typically goes with, we have like a preliminary phone call that like the recruiter and the candidate would do to go over like the details of the position as well as learn more about the candidate to make sure they're a good fit for what we're looking for. And from that, if that goes well, it gets reviewed by the hiring manager and hiring team. And if they decide to move forward, that would be the next step, which is a Zoom call with the hiring manager, one or two hiring managers. And that's basically goes like the phone interview with the hiring manager. And then if that goes well, after that is what we call the face-to-face, but no longer is the face-to-face nowadays. It's more over Zoom video, and it's usually over with multiple people from that team, depending on the role and the level. You cover like if it's an engineering role, there's going to be some coding to just test your code ability and level of coding. There's going to be a culture fit. There's going to be like a team assessment. We try to touch on multiple different angles to make sure that, you know, this is the best possible fit for the candidate as well as for us. And remind me, Sophia, sorry, what was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question is, which qualifications are junior software engineers lacking that prevent them from getting hired? And I know you had already touched on having projects and having some work experience. So typically, like, what are some of the things that you'd like to see more of?
Generally speaking, I would say as like CMT, we are a startup, but at the same time, we have like 450 people, right? We're not like at that startup level anymore. We've grown so much. What we've seen over the past few years and what we're getting so much better at recently is we're no longer just trying to hire like the higher end, like senior software engineers, principal software engineers, managers, and directors, because for a while, that's what we had to do in order to bring that startup up from that one level to another. And we weren't able to bring in as many junior engineers, but now we've been offering internships and multiple different departments, and we trying to bring in more junior engineers. And what we try to answer your question, what we do try to look for really is just your experience. And if there is no experience, like an internship looks really good. When somebody graduated from college, you're trying to find your first job, and internship looks really good. Even if you did it after you graduate, that's even better. You know, you dedicated your full time to it. That's really what I would look for, as well as like try to match this tech stack that we use with what you know, as well as like a school project, like a senior year school project. That could be something also really good to look at and go through that.
And Sophia, if you don't mind, if you put you on the spot, I am now curious. You're asking all these great questions. How you got into engineering?
Yeah, I'll mention, so Mia as well and me are both in Tectonica, which is a year-long but 6-month training software engineering program. And we're currently both in that right now.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Well, we're excited to have you here and appreciate all these great questions. Oh, and it looks like another question came in. Oh, from Mia. Okay. Mia, are you, oh, we also have a question from Zuch. Oh, okay. Yeah. Mia, did you want to join to ask your question?
Yeah, so I'm wondering what your experience has been in the culture, in the work culture, and also what values would you say are like the core values within CMT?
Yeah, hi, Mia, and thank you for the question. I would love to share my insight on the culture. To give you just a better idea of who CMT is, not just what we do. We're like really wholesome. Honestly, we're really humble and thoughtful. We care about our people. We see them and treat them as people before we do as employees. Like employees come second. Obviously, everybody has a job and they have to do it, and that's why we're there. But we have that culture that we really care about people, and we try our best to from the very first day to treat everybody like as welcoming as possible. We have a really awesome onboarding process. Like we ship the laptops prior if you're starting remotely, which like a lot of people do nowadays. First week, you can learn about like the different departments. You go through like a product orientation, you go through the marketing orientation, the development orientation, etc. So you have a really good idea of the company as a whole, and to make you feel as part of the whole company as well. So we try to do that best possible way with the onboarding, as well as you go over with your hiring manager over a plan of 30, 60, and 90 days to set expectations. So everybody is on the same page, like what accomplishments you need to do within 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. And generally speaking, all hiring managers and all managers are really they're great teachers, they're great mentors. They hire somebody because they want them to succeed. They want them to bring their best talents to the table, and they will do everything they can to help you make that milestone, make that 30 and 60 and 90 days and complete all of your goals. And we have a very low turnover rate. We're proud to have a 7% attrition rate, which is lower than most of the industry rate, which 18%. And correct me if I'm mistaken about this, Ruby, but I think it's 7% attrition rate, and the average is 18 in the market. So we really take pride in that. And we have a lot of great activities, like we do kayaking on the Charles during the summer and spring. We do have like the Thursday night movies, drinks, snacks, like we mentioned earlier. We have volunteering opportunities. As well as we have Wellness Week, which is happening right now, actually. There are so many different workout sessions throughout the day that you can join, starting with a stretch in the morning to, I think there was just one now from 1 to 2 p.m. Ruby, I don't know if you've been to any, Ruby, I think I'm going to join one tomorrow. Because we're all sitting down looking at laptops, we want everybody to be able to stretch, like not have any like pain on back pain or physical pain. So we really like put thought into how to make your experience better at CMT, and to make it make you feel more welcoming, make you feel like, wow, like we want our people to think highly of working with CMT and tell their families, their friends, be like, I'm really happy at working at CMT. And that, like, we really try to do everything we can to get to that point. And to also mention the one big thing that we now are missing, I'm sure you can tell them, Ruby, we have half-day Fridays throughout the entire summer from like for about 3 months, right? So after 12, you can just take Friday off. And obviously,
bringing
sorry,
it
go ahead,
back.
Ruby.
Oh no, I was just going to say it. So yeah, it was honestly the best. It was a great way to sort of recharge after we, of course, you know, CMT had acquired True Motion, where Alan and I both were, and it was a lot of work to get both teams together, and sort of to thank everyone for their really hard work after that time. Yeah, they gave us half days off and on Fridays for the whole summer. It was a really big success, and now we're going to get to do that again next summer, which I'm just so excited about. So yeah, looking forward to that being more of a mainstay for sure.
Oh my God. Well, this was such a great way to wrap it up. Just the kind of culture highlights at the end, especially, yeah, for such a hardworking team. Everybody gets half-day Fridays during the summer. That's quite nice. Ruby, Alan, anything else that you want to share with us as we wrap up in the last minute?
You know, I just wanted to say another big thank you to everyone here. Yeah, we would love to stay in touch with you on LinkedIn. Please feel free to send over some invites our way. If you have any specific questions for, you know, things you can do to make your profile stand out or anything like that, we'd love to be able to be resources for you. So yeah, just such a pleasure. Thank you all so much for the time today.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, Alan, any closing comments?
Yeah, like Ruby said, I would love to stay connected with everybody. And if you have any questions at all about interviewing in general or anything that we can help out with, please feel free to message us on LinkedIn. We'd be happy to help in any way we can.
Amazing. I'll be sharing your LinkedIn profiles with everyone, and Yeah. For everyone here, I can stay a couple more minutes if we want to check in on career. And Alan and Ruby, just so great having you as always. And we'll see you at the next one.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks so
Thanks
much
so
again.
much, everyone.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Wow, that was an amazing conversation. I can stay on for a couple minutes if anyone has any questions about how to get the most out of this or other areas of just career and job search that you're working on. And I know a lot of people also have to get back to work, so that's great too. Oh, how often do these events happen? Yeah, so we have workshops with the community twice a week, and we are just now kicking off our events with leaders and recruiters. So those will be happening at least once a month. And definitely make sure you're subscribed to our newsletter so you can stay up to date with all of that. But also let me share my screen if you want to know what's going on in our world, because there's a lot. You can always go to our website, roadmap.net, and then workshops under job seekers. And there's a ton of fun stuff going on. So join us anytime. And also, let me make sure I drop the link one more time to our little kit to get the most out of this event, and how to build a LinkedIn post afterwards to thank the team at CMT and build a genuine relationship that is most likely to lead to interviews and referrals. And in fact, I can just take a moment to go over that if people want to dive into that. So at Roadmap, the way we get referrals is by building relationships. Events like today are great to kickstart the relationship, but us getting something out of it for our own career is all in the follow-up, right? So what we do is, I'll just share my screen and we'll walk through this. You go to an event, and then what you want to do afterwards is make a LinkedIn post that looks something like this. Hey, shout out to Alan and Ruby. Do yourself a favor and qualify yourself too. I'm building my career in, what field or skill area. And recently and then state a key result. Your key result should be a high impact statement. It sounds like we heard one earlier, and recently I taught myself Python and joined open source communities to work on projects that did X, Y, and Z. Would be great. And then, Roadside's Fireside Chat with CMT was so helpful, or that whenever you want to say there, my top 3 takeaways, and then share your actual takeaways. We did collect some notes from just our conversations previously with CMT to kind of add to yours. So highly, highly recommend you make that post. The other thing too, to make that post really stand out to CMT, add your Roadmap banner to your LinkedIn profile. It takes 20 seconds, and add Roadmap to your volunteer experience on your LinkedIn profile. CMT is just one of the many amazing companies that we work with to help all of you get jobs. So as soon as you have that Roadmap banner and that Roadmap in your volunteer experience, it'll make a big difference in your job search. Any other questions before we completely close the room? All right, I'm excited to hear how the job goes. Keep us posted on Slack, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a good day, everyone.